What's going on, guys? Welcome to March's episode of Game of the Month, the show where we pick a game at random, or sometimes we pick the game ourselves. We play it throughout the month, and then we talk about it. My name's Seth.
I'm Chevy.
And I'm Chris.
Quick reminders, we're moving into a new month, April, and in that month, you should download and play Uncharted 4 and Dirt Rally 2.0. Those have been confirmed to be the games for April. That leak was true. Imagine that. We also talked about Sonic Forces and Shadow of the Colossus yesterday. Make sure to check out that episode of Plus Club and comment and type in hashtag AskTLG if you want your comment to be considered to be on TasteCast in future TasteCast episodes. We have a Discord link down below. You talk to us anytime, all the time. We're on iTunes, Spotify, and other podcast platforms if you prefer to listen to us. And yeah, this month we played Wolcen. It's a game I picked. And yeah, before we talk about that, we got to pick a brand new game of the month for April, randomly generated all over again. March fucking was a blur. I don't remember what happened anymore. I remember playing Wolcen, enjoying it. Now we're already in April, picking a new game. How the time flies.
It's been a month for me.
Fucking A. You guys ready to find out what we're playing in April?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to hit this button a bunch of times, and then I'm going to tell you what number it is, and Chevy's going to look at his list and go, we're playing this, or he's going to lie and go, we're playing Final Fantasy VII Remake.
I mean, we are, but...
This is true. That's going to get played regardless. So, all right, we're going and generating 23.
Well, Jeremy will be happy. Jurassic World Evolution.
Oh shit, it's finally happening. That's going to be a nice change of pace.
Yep.
We play a lot of third-person games. We play a lot of RPGs, MMO type stuff. To play Park Sim with dinosaurs. Mm-hmm. And that sounds cool to me. So, and I already bought that. That was one of those games I was like, that game has a good chance of winning the fucking community pick last year. So I was like, I'm just going to pick that up.
I put a solid day into it already, so...
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I have
your
a save
seasoned
file.
vet?
No, but I have a save file at least to come back to.
Yeah, so I'm excited for that. Jurassic World Evolution.
Yeah.
That's still so hard for me. I just grew up. I mean, we're all big fans here of Jurassic Park. Fucking, it'll always be Jurassic Park to me. So every time I'm like Jurassic World, I guess.
Fun tidbit: my Animal Crossing island is I can't remember the name. Help me, Chris.
Isla Nublar.
Well, not the Isla part, but yeah, Nublar. And then my flag is the Jurassic Park icon. And when you talk to people, it goes bum 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 bum.
My shit's Tasty Town.
Now you gotta make a flag in a song eventually.
I'm gonna. I've been working on music lately. I'll make a banger. Yeah, they're like, what do you want? Everybody come up with a name. And I'm like, no, I'm naming this. And then everybody makes their name, all the fucking whatever the hell they're called. The
Villagers.
Whovians, the fucking Whoville people. But yeah, I just typed it. I was like, I don't know, Tasty Town. And then I like how they're like, all right, well, what'd you pick? And then you're like, Tasty Town. And everybody's like, that's good. And they'll just like decide that's fine. I'm like, wow, okay. You guys really just dropped your ideas real fast. You guys are pushovers. What are you guys thinking of Jurassic World Evolution, though? You guys excited?
Yeah, I've played a little bit, so I already know I enjoyed it a little bit. So
good.
Yeah.
What would you? You're not gonna grade it.
I'm not.
Fuck the month. I'll grade it right now. I already played it. Chris, have you played this? Are you looking forward to playing it? Do you like dinosaurs?
I haven't played it, but I fucking love Park Sim games, and I fucking love Jurassic Park.
So it'll be a good mix. There's Planet Coaster. Mm-hmm. We should throw that on the list as well because I have that, and that game is daunting, but very cool. They also made the animal one that made Planet Zoo. Is that what it's called? Just taking a guess, stabbing in the dark.
You said Planet Coaster?
Yeah. It's neat. You literally can make everything. You name everything. You change every piece of every building if you want to. You get to design your rides. You get to color them, do everything.
There's not like a sub name to it or anything.
I don't think so, unless there's DLCs, whatever the fuck.
I'll just leave it as is. For
Planet Coaster, Welcome to Hell.
We'll just assume the newest one.
Yeah. It's pretty cool though, and it's one of those games that like I liked playing when I played it, but I just never go back to it because everything I'm addicted to takes
precedence.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, we will be playing Jurassic World Evolution in April. And that's cool. I'm excited to finally get around to playing that. Okay, so we played in March, Wolcen. I picked this game. This game I was playing the month prior, and I was like, I'm so addicted to this, we might as well fucking play it into the next month. And yeah, we've been playing it. So if you didn't get a chance to play Wolcen is a top-down ARPG in the same vein of every other one, like Diablo, Torchlight, other ones. Well, there's other ones. There's plenty of other ones. I can't think of any of them. I ate like a bunch of ice cream pizza right before filming, so I'm like in like a fucking carb coma right now. So I apologize. I'm just gonna be like, why is that so tired? I'm not. I'm just in a daze right now. And yeah, you go through, you make a character, you get to start from a starting point of a beginning skill and a weapon, but from there you pretty much craft your own build. There is no classes in this. You can make your own class. There's progression, leveling, weapons, random weapons that you would expect in a game like this. It's on CryEngine, so it's really good looking if you're able to run it at the highest graphics. I think it's pretty decent looking regardless.
You haven't turned down, and it looks good still.
Yeah.
So,
you know, it's got a full story, voice acted, and very cinematic for a game like this. We all played it, and yeah, let's start with Chevy on your impressions of Wolcen in the month of March.
okay. So, yeah, like Seth said, it's on CryEngine. So first thing you're going to notice when you turn on the game is it's very good looking game, even when you zoom in. So that being said, it is a little taxing on your computer. So if you have a newer computer, you don't have to worry about too much. My computer is getting older at this point and already is starting to have kind of issues anyways. So it struggles even at the lowest settings with this game. So a mix between CryEngine and some coding issues this game has.
Your computer's that guy at the track. Everyone else is jogging or walking around the track. They all know their speed. But this dude's just fucking running the whole time. He's breathing real hard. And people are like, are you okay? He's like, yeah, I'm fine.
And then he has to stop every once in a
You're
while.
like, dude, just chill. And he's like, I don't need to. We're like, just, hey, we're all going to stop, so you should stop. He's like, oh, okay. I can keep going.
Yeah.
That's your computer. It's going. It's just not liking it.
Yeah. And unfortunately, it's just been an issue I've had that's just gotten worse over time. So
It's so weird with PCs, man. Once the decline starts,
Yeah.
it just gets worse.
yeah. Yeah. For most part, it's still working just fine. It just every once in a while it goes, nope. Okay, continue.
But with this game, and we've been talking about it all month, it is a buggy ass game,
Yeah.
and we'll talk about that, I'm sure. But it's really hard to tell what is on your computer and what's on the game when it comes to what's going on with this game.
It really is. So like the biggest problem I run into with my computer is like just occasional like stops, right? It'll just freeze for a split second and then go again.
Which is something I experienced at the beginning of the month. I don't experience it much anymore.
Well,
I experienced it when I first load the game for a little bit, and then it goes away. But it used to happen pretty regularly, and I noticed anytime I would switch the server from Oregon to California, it would minimize that.
Yeah.
So I assume it is a server thing.
Well, I mean, outside of Wolcen, even that's just my what
Oh,
my computer
yeah,
does.
okay.
That's the problem I have. Is it just occasionally goes, okay, I can go now. So with Wolcen having bugs like that and stuff like that, like you said, it is kind of hard to figure that out. So I just kind of deal with it with the game, which the good news here is it is an enjoyable game to play. The game gives you kind of a base starting point, and at that point you go through an expansive skill tree and kind of just like build your own character. And I'm sure Seth will go into greater detail on that in a moment. I'm just trying to get my impressions of it out. So the skill tree is pretty neat. It's not Path of Exile in that regard, so I don't expect that kind of craziness. You can very easily, once you figure out the way it works, structure yourself into a build.
I think it's potentially crazier than Path of Exile. Path of Exile is pretty...
I think it's a lot easier to understand, personally.
I think they're both easy to understand. I think Path of Exile is way more guided in... You're going this direction, so you're going to be this. And you can go over into the other person's tree, but you're still going into all things going to benefit that kind of class. Whereas in this, you can do that, but if you turn that wheel in weird ways, you can go into alien territory that Path of Exile doesn't offer. Like you could make some really weird hybrid shit that's not in ARPGs.
Right. That's, was saying you can make whatever you want. I mean, that was obviously what I was trying to say there. I can't formulate a sentence right now, apparently. So, so yeah. Anyways, skill tree allows you to do pretty much whatever you want. It's color coded, so you know if it is an agility, a strength, or a magic based thing. So at first glance, you can kind of get an idea, and then you can go through and check it out to see in greater detail if it's the direction you want to go or not. Gameplay is exactly how you expect it to be. It does have a toggle if you prefer to not auto attack everything you mouse over, or you can auto attack everything you mouse over.
It's interesting because it defaults to click to attack, and you have to click the next thing to attack. And at first I'm like, why would you have that? And then you turn on in the options, just hold the mouse over someone while you're still holding the button down, and you'll attack that person, which I prefer. But this game gets to a point where you start wanting to dodge more often, and dodging becomes more difficult when your guy is auto attacking. So they had it off for a reason, but you can manage just fine either way. It's just more of a preference, but it made way more sense later as I played the game further into understanding why they put less emphasis on auto attacking.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that was an option.
Yeah, it's worded weird too. When the game before this month, when they were still like doing like some of the early beta stuff or early access stuff, it was named something else in the options. I just clicked it and then it worked. I'm like, oh, there we go. And then they changed it again on the 1.0 release, the name of it, but it still did the same thing. So, because I was getting sick of clicking on every individual person, but that also makes mobility a lot better. So when you're trying to dodge somebody, if you're not already committed to attacking another person because you're holding down the button, you can move easier than vice versa.
Yeah, and I had turned that on at first to be able to mouse over and keep attacking, but I kind of noticed with using a bow, I have an archer build. I didn't really like that, so I actually turned it back off to make it where I had to click on people because I find myself, I need my character to sit still when I'm shooting most of the time, so I'm holding the button anyways and clicking where I want to shoot. So it didn't make sense for that character. With a melee character, it made more sense for me to turn that on. So obviously your preferences are there.
Yeah, and it has the ability like most RPGs where you can hold, what is it, shift or control, one of them, and it'll keep you still. So
yeah, and I use that a lot.
I'm used to doing. So
yeah, other than that, you go through multiple campaigns the same way you would in any of these games, and
3 chapters.
The big thing I noticed is it's pretty good about loot, which is kind of a big selling point for these games. I don't feel like it's Torchlight where it's just throwing it at me.
Yeah.
But I also I do feel like it's throwing enough at you that you're interested enough to like. I fill up my inventory pretty often. I have to go back to town and like kind of sort through it. So
well, I noticed in that game too. Anytime I start thinking like, man, I haven't got anything in a while, I start getting something. Yeah. So there's a good flow to it.
Yeah, so they obviously thought about that when they were making the game. The skill system is interesting as their items, and at first I didn't quite understand why they took that approach. It makes sense when you beat the game. It's a currency essentially that you get to use eventually, but at first it seems a little weird that you have to like, okay, I'm picking up moves, I'm learning them this way, and then you get duplicates. You're like, why am I getting these? There's a complete reason for that, I promise. So just get to the end. You can do stuff with it earlier on, but it seems almost pointless to me unless you're switching your build up randomly, and then you can kind of quickly level moves.
Yeah, I mean, the duplicates just work as currency, like you said, and you can use that to buy. There's random vendors that will show up sometimes that only you can buy through that currency. They're a lot more rare than the gold ones, and then you can respec stuff with that currency, and then the end game is absolutely fueled by that currency. So it is very important, and you're going to want as much of those interacts, which is what those which are the things that give you your skills. You're going to want as much of those as possible at the end of the game.
Yeah, it's pretty steep, and I'm only in the beginning of it. So,
yeah.
Let's see. Other than that, I mean, it's kind of what I expected it, other than the heavy story and cutscene aspect of it. It does remind me of Blizzard in that regard, because not a lot of people do that kind of stuff. You do get full cutscenes, voice acted. There's voice acting as you're playing through the game as well. Story is happening both in real time while you're playing and in cutscene format. So they really have a big emphasis on telling you a story. It's very unique, which is appreciated, though there are aspects of it visually that do come off kind of Warhammer-esque, which I thought was kind of weird, but it's only one faction.
A specific faction of people, yeah.
Yeah.
But they also remind me of medieval Polish and Japanese armor as well. So it's an amalgamation. At first glance, it looks like Warhammer, but the more I played it, they started looking like other things too. So it's weird.
Yeah. Yeah. And other than that, I mean, I played through the whole 3 campaign or acts, beat the storyline. It was okay. I'm not super fond of the story. I think the ending was kind of but I do think it leads up to expansions, though, which is important.
Well, yeah, they are adding story stuff to it
Yeah.
later. It's not finished.
So, well, and that's why it was kind of for me. I was like, no payoff. Okay, cool. But yeah, that was when I think I was playing with Chris when that happened. I was like, they have to continue this, or I'm going to be pissed. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, other than that, I mean, I'm having fun with it. But it is kind of what you expect it to be. It is an ARPG. So,
Yeah. Chris, impressions.
I really like ARPGs, and this one has to be one of my favorites that I've played yet.
That's
just
cool.
because the character customization is like not just like the visual, but like building your character and talents and skills and things like that is completely unique in every individual character. And it really feels like you just have free range to do whatever you want. And it's just everything is so unique. Like using a pistol on its own has a pretty standard DPS. Basically, it's just pop, 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 pop. But if you use 2 pistols, it's like burstier because you're shooting both. You reload, then you get this big clip, and then you reload again, and you get a smaller clip, and it's just like this weird, like, kind of like rhythm to it. But then if you throw a shield on, which is a funny concept altogether, using a pistol and a shield, your pistol becomes a shotgun. So there's really creative ideas being thrown about here. And it's really fun to see like what kind of builds everybody comes up with. But there is a lot of bugs in this game.
Oh, yeah.
And at first it was kind of charming. Like, oh, this happened. That was kind of funny. But it's getting now to the point where it's kind of like you can't play, at least online with everybody. We were running into so many issues with just like simple skills being either too much for the servers or just not being coded properly or just overwhelming everything. But it's still just an amazingly entertaining game. The story is predictable, although it is, like Chevy said, voice acted very well. It was just kind of like this crescendo and then flatlined at the end. And it's just, I get where you're saying that it can be more, more stories coming out, but it just feels very like you're just left there with nothing. It's just like, what happened? And then the continuation after the end game doesn't really explain much else, and it just kind of feels odd without any kind of like resolve. But beyond that, I can't emphasize enough how entertaining this game is to play. Like, hours have been spent playing already this. I'm going to keep playing it just because there's so much fun to it. It's like that fix I've been looking for. I played Diablo 3 for so long, and I got kind of bland. Because it's the same thing over and over and over again. But with this, if I feel like I'm getting bored, I could re-roll my character into something completely different if I wanted to.
Yeah, there's a lot of malleability. The game's super malleable in the sense of, like, how you can play it, changing up one character, making a brand new character. I mean, like, you could have multiple magic users or use the same one and change them up at any time to something completely different. Me and you were using a couple similar moves with our magic users, but we had different builds. And that was awesome, but also the game didn't like us and would fucking crash us out of the game because there's too much smoke effects happening, I'm assuming. But But yeah, no, I agree with that. And not to say I don't like classes. Of course, I like classes in games, and I like ARPGs, one of my favorite genres. But yeah, there's something different feeling about this one in the sense that I'm not held to a class that is expected. I get to tinker around, and it feels more akin to back in like the golden age of games like Morrowind, Oblivion, Skyrim, crafting your own character as you adventure through and making something, as opposed to trying to figure out how you're going to build your character within the confines of the predetermined class that you've been given.
And stats, you're not punished for picking like one stat over the other. They all boost your damage. So you're not going to just be like this worthless, bulky, tanky person. You're going to have damage output with them regardless, which I think is a great aspect to the game as well.
Well, even if you're making like a magic user and you start dipping into like the green section of the skill tree, there's things that are still going to benefit you through there. That they're going to lean closer to if you're going to be like a range or stamina based character or whatever, but you're still going to be able to find things in there that if you need to navigate through there to get to another part of the tree that you want to get to, because it has the rotating circles of the tree, that makes it really interesting. The game's not punishing you. The only time the game does punish you is when a bug decides that the boss you need to kill doesn't exist or something. It's the only time the game punishes you, and that's hopefully something they'll fix eventually.
For sure. The only problem I had with character-wise was I think I built my character inefficiently. I focused really hard on attack speed and not a lot else on my first character, so wasn't really killing things quick enough.
Yeah, this is something.
I tweaked it.
This isn't even like a Wolcen thing. This is something I've seen in like Path of Exile as well. Whenever you have the freedom to, a lot of times, like when you get a class, it's been thought about already, and it's been designed in a way that you're just making choices through a predetermined idea. And then sometimes in games you get to pick your stats or whatever, and that can start affecting things. But in this, it's super freeform, just like Path of Exile, in the sense that like if you're just kind of clicking through, or you didn't make that great of a build, you start getting into it, you're like 20, 30 levels into the game, you start realizing I might have fucked up. You might want to like restart and try again, because every person's not going to make an awesome build the first time through. So there's definitely learning there. It's something I've noticed, like I said, in Path of Exile as well. People are like, I'm just not doing the damage I'd like to be doing. And then you got to rethink what you've done.
Yep.
Which I like.
I just made some minor tweaks to it, switched a couple weapon styles out, switched a couple moves out, and it just works just fine after that.
Yeah, I keep running into the inevitable in these type of games. Not enough health, I get killed in one hit situation with my magic user. I'll do really good. I'm just melting people. I go up a little further in the levels, and they get a little harder. And then eventually some guy walks up and goes, bah! I go, I'm just dead. I'm like, okay, I got to start working on survivability. I've hit the cap. I can kill him just fine, but he can hit me in one hit. I can't one hit him, so I gotta figure this out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else?
No.
Okay, so I obviously really enjoyed this game. I picked it for a reason. I was really enjoying it beforehand, really enjoyed it throughout this month. I like almost everything about it, and I think it actually excels in most things. I actually think this game, kind of similar to what Chris said, I think it's one of the best RPGs I've played, with bugs. Without bugs, it'd be even easier to say that. I've not been shy this month about warning anybody who's been thinking about picking up this game. It is buggy, and by buggy, randomly buggy. Every week there's new bugs fixed and new bugs that show up. Chris kind of said as the month has gone along, it's gotten to the point where it's really hard to play with people online. I don't even know if it got to that point. It's just currently right there. Like last week, it probably wasn't doing that. That's how crazy this has been. I remember at the beginning of this month, it was really fucking bad. I was seeing like 20 or 30 bugs a play session being multiple hours. I was seeing a lot, to the point where when me and Josh are playing, I kept warning him. I'm like, okay, there's going to be a lot of fucking bugs, so you're just going to have to get used to that. That's reality from now on. And he'd be like, what the fuck is this? I'm like, that's Wolcen. You're just going to have to deal with it. Play further. He's like, what the fuck's going on there? I'm like, that's the game. I can't answer. I have no idea. A couple bugs that I've experienced is bosses literally jumping off of a bridge. As soon as I approached them, they're like bye, and they just leaped off, and then I couldn't kill them. I couldn't complete the mission. Random crashes from whatever. Some of them I figured out what it's from, and it still is an excuse for them happening, like moving gems from one stash to the other. would crash the whole fucking game every time I did it. It's not an issue anymore, so they fixed that. Earlier in the month, I haven't seen it anymore, so they fixed it. There was a thing where wherever you clicked, like any RPG, your character would run to that point, but sometimes they wouldn't face the direction they're running. Sometimes they'd be looking the opposite direction, running backwards to that point, or that I would see them spinning just in circles as they travel to that point. And it was funny, but I'm like, that's not good. That's something that really should be taken care of, because I wouldn't feel good about releasing a game looking like that. I've never seen a game do that before, so I think most people agree with me of going like, you want to fix that before you release the fucking game. I'm sure they weren't happy with it, and they fixed it. I haven't seen it in a while, but I used to see it pretty regularly. Playing with people earlier in the month, you'd see them teleporting around the map a lot. They were still killing things. They were playing fine on their side, but the way it's translating over to you over the server was really bad. I don't see that anymore, but every once in a while I do see people like glitch real quick, a lot better than it was before. So honestly, like 2 days ago, I got way ahead of myself. I played, I was enjoying myself, and then after I was done playing, I stopped and I was like, I didn't see a bug. I played a whole session, I didn't see one bug. And then like I was like, oh, and I went out and told Chip, I'm like, I didn't see a bug in Wolcen. And he's just staring at me like, uh-huh. I'm like, that's crazy. There was so many fucking bugs in the game, and I didn't see one. This is progress. This is great. And then we all tried to play together. Me and Chris are using a move where you have a circle around you, and when enemies die in it, they blow up into toxic fucking smoke. We're both using that move. I'm assuming that's what the problem was. The game would just freeze, and then it'll go crash and knock one of us out, and then go crash, knock someone else out. We have to restart the game. We playing again, and then go no, and it start kicking us out. And I was like, okay. And then we stopped doing that, and we started running into other issues. And I was like, okay, so there's whole new bugs here in the multiplayer that's just happening, and it was really kind of shitty. I mean, like we all were playing, and we've been playing all month, so we all expected these bugs, but it got to a point where it was unplayable. These are the bugs, though rare, are the big problems. All the other ones, I'm like, ha, that's funny, ha, that's funny. But the game-breaking ones, the ones that make the experience kind of like a chore, they suck, and they do exist, but they're like 2% of the time. Most of the time, it's like. There's this one that's happening where when my toxic clouds were just a flowing, randomly there'd just be a dead body just ragdolling around in the smoke, and their health bar would still be there, and I could still attack them, and they'd just be rolling, and then they go and just disappear. I'm like, okay. And that didn't bother me, because the idea of my smoke being so powerful is just throwing fucking bodies around in it. I thought it was funny, but it was definitely not intended. So yeah, the bugs are very real, and they're very random as the game has gone on, and it's no secret. They've talked about it many times. Game publications have talked about it. Game publications have given the game 4s and 5s across the board pretty much for the bugs alone. Also saying the voice acting's bad in the game. I don't agree. I've heard way worse voice acting. I actually think it's better than average. It's not the best. It's not like a fucking Naughty Dog game, but I think it's decent. But anyway, so the bugs have plagued the game 100%, and they're still very real, and so that will go into my grade for sure. But outside of that, I think this is one of the best looking RPGs ever made. There's that Korean one, I forgot what it's called. People in the comments are gonna know what I'm talking about. But that one was really good looking too. This one's really good looking. It's on CryEngine. If you have a computer that can run at the highest graphics, definitely do it. It's a fucking crispy looking game. Really impressive. Lighting, reflections off of surfaces, light going through particles in the air. Really cool backdrops off of the map that you don't see in RPGs to this degree. A lot of times there's just darkness down there, but in this you'll see like a cool bokeh blur effect of like the background. And even as you progress through this game, the world will change, and everything around you can interact with changes as the story progresses. And it'll change in the backgrounds. I mean, they put a lot of work into the detail of the world as you progress through the game, and the storyline that goes with it. I think at first I thought the skill tree was kind of a gimmick. Now I'm absolutely in love with it. It's just a creative tool. At first I was like, oh, it rotates, neat, so big brain. But then I started using it, I'm like, wait, this is pretty big brain. This is pretty crazy. You can do some really crazy shit with this. You can make like some weird hybrid that feeds off of your, what is that called? I don't use my physical.
Rage?
Yeah, rage. As you do certain moves, your rage will build, and they do other moves, and your fucking the mono willpower, thank you, will build up, and you can get moves that will switch that. So you could literally make a hybrid build where you're feeding off of both of them and trading back and forth to do your moves, which is something really neat. And I've just really enjoyed going through that tree and creating my build. I haven't looked up any builds yet. I've been making my own builds, and my mage build has been pretty successful so far. I've been doing what they call ailment. Been putting a lot of emphasis on my ailments, ailment chance, which is essentially making sure that enemies get status effects from the moves I'm using on them, and my elemental moves do a lot of damage. So my build is essentially I drop like 5 fucking area of effect moves and just let people melt, and it's really satisfying to just put those all on the ground and people just come at me and go into smoke clouds that just damage people. I also got these moves that you put them on the ground. I put 2 of them, and they suck people in repeatedly. Every time they suck them in, they take damage. So it's a nice way to just pull people into one spot and then just drop all my moves on them at once while they're just getting sucked in there constantly. But I can put 2 down, so sometimes I'll put them like this, and they go woot, 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 just between the 2 as I'm just like fucking raining shit on them. It's fun. But then, Chris came in with his fucking horde of minions and his also smoke clouds, and then the game was like, enough of this. Get out. Both of you. Wasn't even good enough to kick one of us out. It was like, get out of here. And it's like, take him with you. I'm like, fuck, okay. And Chevy's just left behind. Then, didn't you get a crash?
It would disconnect me from the server. Yeah. It didn't crash the game. It just was like disconnected.
It's like, sorry, bud, you ain't got no friends. Get out. We had to kick them out. They're causing a ruckus. The game is really flashy, even outside the graphics, just in the design, but specifically in the combat. I think it has a lot of skills that you would expect from ARPGs. It has also some that I think are really creative, namely, like there's a Gauss rifle that you can get that when you hold the button, you can just press it and you shoot a laser. But if you hold it, I forgot what the default is. Does it get smaller first or bigger first? Yeah, so it grows bigger or whatever. I thought it was vice versa.
You can get
well, there's a modifier to do both. I just don't remember what the default is.
Default small to big.
Okay. So you hold the button and it goes and just grows. Then we let go, it goes boom, and hits a bunch of people and shit. Then there's a modifier later that you can make it do the opposite. You can also have it charge faster and stuff like that. That's something I haven't really seen in an RPG. There's different ways to use that. You can just click it and shoot somebody if you need to, but if you want to get that like hard hit in there and you have enough modifiers on it to like up the crit chance or whatever, you can get this real powerful shot on like a boss or something. That's really satisfying, and it feels really good. All the moves aside from like 1 or 2 feel awesome, and I really like that. There's one move where you spin with a weapon that's in every single ARPG on the fucking planet, and it's fine. I'm not complaining. It's kind of a staple, and it works really well in Wolcen. But it is one of the most boring moves in the game because you just look at it and you're like, barbarian does shit like that in most RPGs or whatever. It's leap move in this. A lot of games, the guy just jumps, hits the ground, cracks the ground. It was impressive back when that was, first shown in a game. In this one, it's interesting because you have like an ethereal spear and you like jump in the air and slam straight down, or you'll like fly over there and strike there. It's a cool, different take on that move. Yeah, there's just a lot of cool ones. There's similar to the Gauss rifle. There is a move for magic users where you can click in an area and you can teleport there and you can do damage. But if you click and hold, it'll actually grow the area out. So like the Gauss rifle, you can if you want to wait, you can do more damage. You'll teleport over there and hit more people and do more damage, which I think is really neat. And then the modifier system on this game is really cool. Every move is essentially multiple moves. So there's already a lot of skills in the game, and every skill in the game can be turned to something completely different, and not even just on what the damage is, but the way it looks. You can have a fire move and turn to an ice move, and it'll look like ice now, and then you can change it so it like shoots 2 at once instead of 1 at once. I had that move I have that pulls people in or whatever. You can turn that into electricity move, so now it's like electric on the ground, stuff like that. And then this has a duplicate system, which I've just unlocked. It's in the end game when you get access to that. It's a pretty penny, but it's worth it. And you can take skills you already have and duplicate them up to 2 times a piece. And what that does is now you can have 2 of the same move, but have different modifiers on that move. So now you have access to different parts. It's cool, yeah. So I have a lightning trap, and then I have the 2 aether traps. on my same build. So I can go electricity or this, and it's awesome. And this stuff is all saved for endgame, which is really fucking smart because you already beat the game, you already enjoyed yourself. I put fucking 40, 60 hours into it. I think I'm 100 hours into this game now. And a lot of that has been endgame. I've been just kind of plugging away on all these things you unlock after you beat the game. There's a lot of stuff to do, like a lot of shit, and a lot of things that change the way you play the game now. So it's worth playing. It's a really well thought out. For a game that's like has a pretty unfinished ending to the story, but they've already said they have plans to add new chapters to the game. It has a very well thought out and strong end game, which AAA games don't even have a lot of the time. So kudos to these guys for all the bugs, man. I'll take most of the bugs. Some of them are pretty shit. I'll take them if I'm getting a game that has this much, I don't know, gameplay to it. That's not just, okay, go play chapter 2 over and over again. Which, used to be the standard. Diablo 3 was like that until the expansion came out and changed everything. That's when the game got really good. Yeah, so I love the skill system, love the skill tree. I love, you level, you get stats. Last I checked, there's 100 fucking levels in this game, or 90. Wasn't it 90? It's a shitload. I'm like 70 right now, and it has slowed the fuck down around, 40. It feels pretty slow, but going from 60 to 70 is work. It's fucking work. But it's still really fun to play. So, a lot of levels. There's a lot of game here, and a lot of new things to look forward to as you play it. I'm not just repeating to get the best weapons. There's other things I'm working towards, which is really fucking cool. I like the story. I like it quite a bit. When I say I like it quite a bit, compared to other ARPGs, I think it has one of the best stories in an ARPG that you don't have to go read the lore on the internet. The beginning, I think, is really interesting because there's a conflict and an issue that happens, and then there's twists and turns with the characters. They go from your friend to your enemy, which I think is a really cool twist that I don't see in games like this. Really cool background lore to these characters that they discuss, wars that they fought in together that they reference, bonds that are broken through views and ideology. I mean, like there's a lot going on here if you're paying attention. I think Act 2 is really fucking cool. A lot of games like this will always have a desert map. This game actually kind of skips over that a little bit. It flirts with it for a second. It's like, there's a desert, but you're not going to stay there. You're going indoors. And I'm like, okay, cool. I can deal with that. But then also in games like this, there's always some kind of hell part of these games because Diablo is, the king of this genre. And it's very hell-like. And so a lot of games always kind of pay homage to that with some kind of dark aspect to the RPG. And I was wondering when this game was going to do that. And the way it does it is very, very creative. Me and Josh were both talking about it, and we really liked it. In Chapter 2, I'm going to go into mild spoilers, not too much, though. You run into this thing called Lumbok that is essentially kind of like the Borg. It views itself and all the things that are Lumbok as one thing.
But biological.
Yeah. And it's really fucking neat because at first it's like this weird, curious thing that you know is the enemy, and you have this weird relationship with it. And I think it's really interesting. At one point in the conversation, your sister essentially says charming, kind of being a smartass, and it hears that and it goes, charming. And then throughout the game, it keeps repeating that randomly. It'll say something, blah, 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 charming. And you're like, at first, like, that thing, that's funny. That's funny. It says it like that. As you progress further, you start finding out that Lumbok is essentially trying to clone people to make the ultimate thing for Lumbok. And so it's attempting to clone you, your sister, your dad. And by dad, I mean like you're all adopted. Right? Father figure, yeah. And it starts getting really fucking weird and disturbing. And at first I was like, okay, we're not doing a hell thing, but we're getting real fucking hellish here because you start going to this area where you're just in this cave full of just endless fucking naked clones, failed clones, just dead people all over the place. And the whole time, Lumbok is just repeating charming over and over again. And what once was charming and interesting starts becoming really fucking eerie. That Lumbok is like something that it's not your friend and never was, obviously, but like there's this really dark aspect as you're building up to what Lumbok is. And then once you fight Lumbok at the end, I really like the reveal of what actually it is. I was really impressed with its design. When I saw it, I was like, holy shit, that's really cool looking. You really get to see their imagination with this world and everything, but also CryEngine showing off how good an ARPG can look. Although that fight was not necessarily hard for me, but I died the first time because there's all the shit on the ground that you have to dodge, and I also put shit on the ground that they have to dodge, so I didn't see it, and fucking I just like melted. I was like, and then I was like, wait, I was probably standing at
That's
something.
probably the easiest of the boss fights.
Didn't you need help with that one?
Sure, my build didn't work for it, but
Yeah.
mechanically it is the
For
easiest
sure.
of the boss fights.
Well, because it stands there and you got to dodge things. It kind of reminds me of one of the fights in Diablo 3 when you're in the castle and you have to go fight that guy. He's kind of floating out of that circular half circle area.
Yeah, it's one of the.
It's been a while
Demon
since I
Lords,
played.
I can't remember his name.
It kind of reminds me of that fight, except for way bigger of a spectacle.
Yeah,
Belial?
I think so.
Maybe.
think it's Belial.
I think it's Belial. Yeah, that fight, like, they take a lot of like telltales that you would traditionally see, like I would say in an MMO. That fight feels very MMO compared to the other fights, though.
Which I like.
Yeah. No, I'm not complaining. I'm just saying it does feel a little different than the other two boss fights, though, a big time, I think, in that regard. Third fight, I guess, is a little bit as well. But the first boss fight, which I'm not going to go into spoilers on, but that one, I think, is the hardest.
Well, and so that was something I was going to say eventually is, I mean, I could talk this game up quite a bit. Talking about the story, I just want to finish out real fast. I really do like the story, though. I think it's really well written. I think it's written kind of like a TV show. It's got a lot of quick little quips and stuff, but it's just entertaining. And that's something that you don't get in a lot of games like this because a lot of time it's really dry. Like you play Diablo, if you look up the lore, it's really interesting. It's really dark, all that shit. But when you're playing it, you just walk into a building and some guy's like, Diablo. And then like you read some stuff and you're like, okay, kill the devil. Me and Josh are making a joke. Like that's the game. It should be called Kill the Devil. Because, I mean, that's the fucking story. The devil's bad. Kill him. Okay, I can do that. But there's a lot of layers to this storyline, and it does end on a cliffhanger, which is... I didn't mind the ending, but I recognize it's unsatisfying. Because there is no hard ending. But I did like the ending. I liked the build-up to it. I liked that you, again, rejoin forces with certain people that you once had shaky ground with. You're like, I don't know if I can trust you. And then you couldn't trust them. They pull some bullshit and betray people. And I was like, oh, this is really interesting. They're predictable possibly, but it's something I'm not seeing in RPGs. I'm not seeing this kind of interweaving of relationships and stories in a lot of games. So I really appreciate it. Although, again, I do think it does just kind of like, it ends on a note of like, well, you stopped it, but did you? What happened? And then but I like the way it does the end game, because the end game is part of the story. It's not purgatory, but it's a waiting point for the next chapter, because the way essentially this cataclysmic event happens, and as you play the game, it almost reminds you of Dark Souls. This fog starts rolling in closer to the village that you're at, or the city you're at originally, and it becomes a point where like there's refugees running because they're getting killed out in the fog and shit, and they have to start like putting them in the castle, and you got the king fucking going like, people are like, what the hell are all these people doing in the castle? He's like, what the fuck do you want me to do? Like, I can't just leave them out there. It's like this whole like inner political thing that's really interesting, and it gets really cool or whatever. And then the end happens. I'm not going to talk about what happens there directly, but it leaves on a cliffhanger. But then the end game is essentially, now you're the regent of the city. You're tasked with rebuilding the city after this event happened.
It's like 6 months later, though, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, so whatever happened there will most likely be explained in the next chapter. But I think it's a cool idea for an end game. It's not just like, welcome to the end game where you can just grind for gear and do cool stuff and whatever. There's actually like a storyline to it. And there's actually like all new dialogue and shit with all the stuff you unlock. You click on it and you're listening to all your people now, because now you're like the regent of the city. You're tasked with rebuilding the city. You got all these people in your ear now going like, oh, we can do this and this will benefit the city or whatever. This is like a whole new game that starts up as soon as you beat the game. And it's really fucking smart. Like, it's really like I'm thoroughly impressed with this fucking game. It's very buggy though. So like it's so hard to talk about how good it is, because if I ignore the bugs, I'm doing everyone a disservice, because you're going to play and go, Do you know it does this? Yes. I know it does all this. And you're going to tell me things
Maybe
I've
not
never
specifically
I've never
that,
and then
but
you're going to tell me things I've never even heard about, but I won't be surprised. There's not one thing you can tell me. Chris fell through the fucking map and went into like the developer section of the game, where it's just a empty box room. And he's just hanging out in there while we're finishing the fucking level out. So I mean, like he got the behind the scenes fucking
And I
tour,
couldn't enter dungeons with you guys.
which happened with me and Josh early in the month, and like there's all sorts of fucking shit that happens. So, what complaints do I have about this game outside of the bugs? Which varying complaints. Like I said, some of them are kind of charming, some of them are horrible. My big complaint is, and this is something some people have touched on, the difficulty scaling is not fair sometimes. I think it ramps up from fucking 0 to 10 like instantly, and that is apparent when you fight oh man,
Act 1 boss.
Edric. Yeah, Act 1, Chapter 1's boss, which I do think is a cool fight in the story. It's a neat situation, but my first time experiencing that fight, and I think I was streaming when I did it, I was not prepared for that fight. And it's not that my skill as a gamer or my character wasn't prepared. The game didn't lead me in a direction telling me that it was going to go this hard on me. I had been playing and it had been getting harder and harder and harder, like games like this do. And then this fight started and I was like, this is a different game. This is a different boss battle than I was expecting. It's 3 different boss battles in one. There's three phases to this, and they go from hard to harder to way the fuck harder.
Yeah, phase 3 is fucking crazy.
Yeah, it's really crazy. I played it by myself with one character. I beat him eventually, but like a couple times I was like, I gotta do this 3 fucking times. Like I gotta make this fucking work. 3 different phases. This dude's rough every single time. He gets harder every single time. He gets crazy. Especially earlier in the month, there was bugs where he was like teleporting, glitching, and like
Fell off the map for me, and then I couldn't fight him.
I heard that, and then I saw
off the map.
I'd see him jump in the air and go like this, and then all of a sudden he'd be over there and go boom and hit and shit, and like I was like, this fight's already fucking hard.
Yeah.
Are you serious? I got to deal with these fucking bugs too. So I like that fight. They just need to balance it better. I'm not even saying like make it easier, but like make the game ramp up to that in a smoother way, honestly, because it literally goes like, okay, yeah, this is getting harder.
Yeah,
You're
it's a
leveling. It
spike.
makes sense. Then it goes, fight this guy though, and he goes, Wah! And just starts flying and shit. And you're like,
Well, then it
what
immediately
is
comes
this Dark Souls?
right back down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The next
So
area, you're
it's
like,
weird.
okay, the game started again. Like, I don't know what that was about. What the fuck was that?
I was streaming during that part, and I think Psycho was watching me, and he said it took me almost 2 hours to beat that boss.
Holy shit. I believe it. I think it took me 3 or 4 times to fucking fight that guy. The first 2 times, fucking
It's not
Almexai.
a short fight either.
Fucking Almexai. First time I ever fought that guy. The guy's glitching and teleporting. The game's lagging. I'm clicking on him and nothing happens, and then it happens like a millisecond later. All the shit that's going on top of that guy's already difficult. Everyone agrees on that. I die, and he's like, get good. I was like, Jesus. I was like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if I was good or not. That fucking fight's ridiculous. But yeah. Yeah, anybody who's like that fight, I looked it up because I was like, is this supposed to be like this? And everyone in the forum is like, is he supposed to be this hard?
Yeah.
And everybody's like, oh, he's fucked up. I'm
Well,
like,
and then to use the comparison of the other 2 bosses, you get in there and they're not hitting you the way Act 1's boss is hitting you.
when I think Lumbach is a fair fight.
It is. That's what I'm saying. Like, it feels like you progress to that fight and then its phases get progressively harder, but I never feel like it spikes.
Sure.
So-
Even the end fight that I think is way too long. And it's challenging. It was definitely challenging for me, but it's more dodging challenging. Like you just got to not be in the wrong
be in the wrong
areas.
place, yeah.
Exactly. My only problem with that fight is it's way too long, but it's like supposed to be the finale and you're fighting someone who's important and there's all these different characters popping in and out of the fight, which I think is neat. But even that fight isn't as like fucked up as that
100%.
first boss in Chapter 1.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So I hope they hear people talk about that and just balance it. I'm not saying change the fight. Just like tone him down.
I mean,
a notch.
realistically, the Act 1 boss should be able to wipe the floor with Act 2 and 3 bosses.
Yeah, he shouldn't. I feel like you could. I feel like you could make him fight the other bosses and he'd destroy them.
Yeah,
and he's like,
same.
Like I get the importance of the situation because this dude's like your fucking brother and you're fighting him and you don't want to and stuff and it's really intense. I like that, but you gotta lower that fucking skill threshold there. It's just ridiculous.
Or prep people better.
Yeah. Make it harder, faster. So by the time you get there, you're more prepared for it. So
and it is beatable. Obviously, we all beat it, but
yeah, for sure.
It's just it's fucking crazy.
Even me and Josh were playing. I was using my magic user that melts everything, and then Josh was using a tank type character, and then I also had Vigor Mortis, where the fuck his name is, the troll Shrek. I had Shrek with me, and I use him as a tank, and I share health with him and shit. And we fought him one time because I was playing through his, or one of us was going through with our characters, and I think we died the first time, both of us together. I was like, holy shit. And then we went and did a second time, and we beat him pretty easily the second time around. We just had to get our shit together. But I was like, he's still rough with fucking 3 people on the map. He was just flying around on the third part, just wrecking all of us. He'd like knock me out in 2 hits. Josh would take more hits than me. Then he'd come over to like rescue me, and or sometimes he couldn't. I just have to die. He'd have to keep running around. And then eventually this dude would just wear him down and fucking kill him.
And some of his tells are not very, like, you don't have very long to figure it out.
A lot of his tells is he goes, ah! And as soon as you hear that, he's flying at you.
You see the red and it's gone. And
Yeah.
you're like, you can't register that.
Yeah, an ARPG. I mean, this isn't Doom Eternal. This isn't Quake. So yeah, if I had one complaint, there are parts that feel off, but those are all fixable things.
For sure.
Every problem I have with this game is all things that could be fixed, and I hope that they do, and they have been working on them for sure. But yeah, outside of that, I mean, I even like the soundtrack. I think it's a really good soundtrack. I wasn't expecting that. I pay attention to that kind of shit a lot, and like, there's some songs. Me and Josh talk about that. Me and Josh were just playing this game, just talking it up. Like, he just kind of like was on the same level with me. We're both like, this is really good. Even with the bugs, this is a really good game. We're like sitting there in the town, and the music there is like just really like, epic sounding and stuff. And I was like, this is a good score. That's cool. I'm glad that they even, because a lot of these games have like generic music and shit.
I am going to say, volume wise in general, that game's way too loud.
It's weird, yeah.
Way too loud.
I had
have
to turn
it
that shit down at 20%, I think.
That's higher than me. I think, Chris, you said 2%, and I got mine at 5%.
like that.
Because I can't hear people in voice
Yeah,
chat.
but what part of
otherwise.
that's a bug and what part of that's actually the fucking volume? Because like, I don't know, because mine's at 20 and I was like, I have to turn it down to 20 to be able to hear people.
Well, I'm not saying that's a bug. I'm just saying they're fucking...
I'm joking.
Yeah.
I'm saying it could be a bug, could not be bug. I don't know, because we all got different numbers and shit, but that could be different computers, all sorts of shit. There's no way to know.
I gotta turn a lot of games down to use Discord as voice chat because they just drown out Discord for some reason. But like, it's almost off. Like, I don't understand like why it's so loud. So I don't know. It's a weird,
it's weird.
weird design choice. Unless Discord just needs to up their game and turn it up a little more. I don't know. So
One bug I miss is T-pose. I haven't seen T-pose in a while. For anyone who doesn't know, T-pose is essentially the Super Saiyan of Wolcen. Any character that goes into T-pose means that they're gonna fucking wreck you.
I only saw it once. So.
Wow. For anyone who hasn't been watched the other month, there was this boss in a bar that I thought had a pretty interesting exchange in the story anyway. But first time I fought him, nothing weird happened. It's just a typical fight. The guy's like a rogue type character, so he does a lot of like teleport moves, and then he'll come out and dash across and swing it and stuff. And it's a pretty cool fight. Second time with a different character, I was playing it. I go in there, I go through the dialogue, and then as soon as the fight starts, he's just in a T-pose. And for anyone who doesn't know, T-pose is like the default stance for character models in game development. So as soon as I see a T-pose in a game, I'm like, we're going down to like the primordial fucking soup of this game. Like, we're going down to basics. I remember playing Left 4 Dead years ago, and there was this glitch or was it a mod? No, I think it was a glitch that would happen randomly sometimes, and all the zombies would be stuck in T-pose, and they couldn't attack you like that. They wouldn't have the animations to attack you, but they're still physical. So if you got like surrounded, they would all encage you in T-pose, and you just get stuck and you couldn't move. And then the fucking tank would come out, and he'd be in T-pose. He'd have all these people around you, and you're just like, well, I got to restart. And like we got to the point where we were just like trying to run to the end before we got T-posed in. So T-pose is fucking dangerous shit. So when I see a T-pose, I recognize T-pose. I respect T-pose. And this motherfucker, I fought him before. I was like, hey, you're all right. I can kick your ass. He shows up, he T-pose. I'm like, what's this? You're fucking pulling T-pose out? And he fucking goes at me, flies at me, and he's not showing me any of his tells. I can't tell what he's about to do. Like fucking, he's just like this, but he's hitting me. I'm just like, bah, bah, bah. I'm like, what the fuck? And then he just goes and just teleports, and he's just gone. There's no animation for the teleport, though. And there's no line on the ground showing where he's going to come at me. And all of a sudden, I take a hit, and he's just T-posed next to me. I'm like, I can't read him. I don't know what he's doing. And he's just fucking hitting me, and I start, like, nuking him. I'm like, die, motherfucker. And he's just like, I've told that story a million times at this point, but then, like, me and Josh are playing. And I was like, let's go see if the guy T-poses. And we walk in the room. We go through the fucking, the cutscene. And before I even notice, Josh is just like, he's T-posing. And fucking I look over and the guy's just flying at me, T-pose. I was like, I fucking told you, it's real. And he's just teleporting all over the place just in a T-pose. I'm like, that's when he's most dangerous. But the way I could tell I made it, right, is I beat the game. When I finally got to the end game, there's a cinematic that happens. You're talking with all the people in charge of the city. And my character was just standing there just in T-pose while they were talking to her, and she just wasn't moving, but she's T-posed. I'm like, I am T-posed now. I've made it. So it's kind of a beautiful ending to the game. You guys said the ending's kind of a cliffhanger. Not mine. I became God.
All right.
T-posed God. So anyway, yeah. All in all, obviously, I really like this game. I can talk about it for a while. I really appreciate everything about it. For the most part, it does have issues. The bugs are absolutely a fucking issue, and they will fix them, and they've been battling them for over a month now. I do have confidence they'll fix them, and when they do fix them, I think this game will be one of the best ARPGs out there, like easily. So, because I already kind of feel like it is. I mean, I wouldn't deal with these kind of bugs without most other games. I mean, Wade's been
Beating a game? Yeah.
Yeah, and doing the end game for hours and hours and hours. Wade's playing fucking, he's just torturing himself playing fucking Warzone over and over again, not getting experience, and I guess running into hackers a lot and stuff, and fucking he's still playing, and I'm like, I wouldn't do that. But here I am playing Wolcen, dealing with all the random weird shit. There's like, you go do missions, and then it's like, here's a modifier to make it harder. And I'm like, I'm already getting modifiers to these fucking bugs. Give me more XP for that. So,
maybe that's
yeah.
what it is. They're not bugs. They're just modifiers that got loose in the game.
They're features.
Yeah, it's a feature. They should just say that. Oh, you guys think those are bugs? Those are modifiers. That's just for the challenge. You guys are pussies. Get good. Well, when the boss jumped off the bridge because they didn't want to fight me and I can't finish it, jump with them. How? Figure it out. T-pose. Do that T-pose you talk about so much. Probably should jump into recommendations. I'm going to go with the easy ones. If you like ARPGs, you should play this. ARPGs. I kind of put that. I just made that into RPGs. If you like ARPGs, like Diablo, Torchlight, Titan Quest, Grim Dawn, any of those, I would highly, highly, highly recommend this to you. And I would highly recommend you prepare for bugs, look past them. You'll get through it. You'll be fine. Because there's a really good game there. Path of Exile. If you like Path of Exile, you're going to feel probably closer to home with this skill tree. It's not the same, but it is more akin to that than it is other RPGs. If you like games where you get to build your own character, level up, and you get to start working on the character you want to make, things like Elder Scrolls type games, you probably would dig this game. If you like story-centric RPGs, I think you would probably like this game. You might like the story, you might not like the story, you might fall in the middle somewhere, but they did try to make a story that is from beginning to end, from point A to point B, works well as a story, and the world reflects it, and there's a lot going on there. If you like cooperative games, if you like loot fests, if you like games with a lot of content, a lot of grind, if you do like that grind, this game's for you. I mean, I'm getting into level 50, 60, 70 territory, and I'm at the end game, and there's still new armor types I'm unlocking that weren't in the game prior. So that's really cool. It has another thing too. It has what's that, transmog?
A glamour system, yeah.
Glamour system, yeah. Every armor that you find in the game, you can reskin the armor you're wearing now to look like that. So you can customize your character the way you want them to look while still getting the benefits of the armor and the weapons that you have, which I think is awesome. You also find dyes all over the place. They're fucking plentiful. I'm still finding ones I don't have. You can sell the ones that you already have or trade them to people who don't have those colors, and you can customize all your shit to whatever colors that you have and whatever armors that you've had. It's a really cool system. So if that sounds interesting to you as well, the game's well worth picking up. Yeah, what else? Strong end game. If you like a game with a strong end game, something to work towards and something to you want to beat the game but still have a bunch of shit to do, this game has a way stronger end game than fucking Destiny, goddamn The Division, Anthem. I'm not going to go as far as to say a lot of MMOs, 'cause some MMOs have nailed endgame. But this game has a really impressive and robust endgame. So if you're a person who likes endgame, this is a game that I could easily see somebody hopping in, beating the game, and after that making another character and just speed leveling to that end game to start working towards it. And all the characters that you have all go towards the same end game. So whatever you're playing, you can just keep working towards it. There's a lot of shit to unlock there. Brand new features, all sorts of stuff. A 5th skill tab or a macro to use, duplication of your skills,
Bank
tabs, all sorts of different things, different ways to play the game. So there's a lot of game there. Also features that aren't this has nothing to do with recommendations. It's just a thing worth mentioning. When you look in the item section, there's a pet spot, and there's a cape section and all sorts of stuff. So those are things they're going to be adding later in the game. So they definitely have big plans for this game. So if you want to buy a game, so I guess I'll wrap it into recommendations. If you like buying a game that still has a future to it, things that they're definitely going to be adding to it and future content coming to it, this is a game I think it is already solid, and it is a good investment to put money into this for what is to come potentially, unless they fuck everyone. But they're fighting these bugs, and they've already made a pretty robust game, so I don't think they're gonna abandon this game. So, and graphics. If you're someone who enjoys good graphics in games, it's like a CryEngine, and it looks really good. So,
I really don't think I can add anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
All right, let's grade it. I'm gonna start with. I already started with Chevy. Chris.
Damn it. So this is really hard because I really enjoy this game, but because of the bugs and some of them are really game breaking, especially when you're playing multiplayer, and it really feels like Endgame is really geared towards playing multiplayer. I'm gonna have to give it a B+ at the moment. This has potential to be a really like an A ranked game for me. Maybe I wouldn't say A+, but an A ranked game for me for sure. If the bugs were fixed in it, it's like we've said this over and over again. It's really hard to recommend this game to people because of the bug issues. Yep. But I still play it, like you said. I'm playing it regardless, so it's really entertaining. So for the moment, it's a solid B+.
Yeah. See, yeah, I agree with you 100%. It's hard for me to want to grade it super high just because the bugs are such a huge factor, but I'm still playing it. I'm still fucking enjoying it a lot. I feel like without the bugs, I would probably give this game an A. That's how solid I think it is of a game. I want to give it a B+. I for some reason I can't, so I'm gonna go with an A-, which is really fucking high, I know. But like the enjoyment I get out of this game, I haven't felt this in a while. This is something me and Josh talked about. I don't want to talk for him too much. If he wants to come on the show via digitally over the internet for now, Josh, I love you, but we gotta social distance. I'd love to get his opinion on this as well. Get a webcam, Josh. But we were both talking about just like how much we enjoy all the aspects of this game, and we're still able to overlook the bugs. It's that fun. It's that good. And I haven't felt this passionate about an ARPG in a long time. I honestly like this more than Diablo 3. I like it more than almost every RPG out there, outside of the nostalgic factor of like how much I love Torchlight 2 and how much I love Titan Quest and Grim Dawn. I think they're great games, and I love Path of Exile. But this game is just really smart, takes a lot of ideas that already exist from other people and uses them in a smart way. And I just think everything about it's fucking solid outside of its difficulty scaling. And bugs that they'll fix eventually. But I'm just really passionate about how much I enjoy playing this game. I really fucking like it. So I just feelings alone, I got to give it an A-, even though I feel like I shouldn't, but because those bugs are so fucking bad. They're so bad, but I just, every time I play it, man, I fucking love it. So A-.
So yeah, this game has really, really good ideas in the end game aspect of it, and I really appreciate that, because post game is a very important thing that obviously, as we're seeing companies diving into this type of game with your Destinies, your Division, stuff like that, they're not nailing that aspect, and it's really nice to see a game that is in the beginning got a solid idea that they want to do with their end game. So
it's not even a AAA game.
Yeah, so,
I mean, like,
I appreciate that a lot, because that is what you're probably going to spend the most time doing in a game like this. So it needs to be a robust feature. The journey getting there is obviously cool, but it's usually only cool once. After that, you're making other characters.
I already dipped my fucking level 15 character into the end game and got to like 25
for the
pretty
sake
quickly.
of the end game.
Yeah.
Like, that's what you're doing.
But at least it's still going towards my end game.
For
so,
sure.
Yeah.
So like I said, I want to give them 100% credit for the way they've designed their end game. That it is an account-based end game, not a character-based end game, is also very cool. We've driven it into the dirt at this point. It is very buggy. In fact, it should not be in version 1.0. It should be still in early access. That's how bad this is. They should have just left it in early access and kept working on it.
I think content-wise, it is 1.0, but bug-wise, fuck no.
Yeah,
it shouldn't have been finished.
For them to come out and really, and it hurt them in the review department because of that. By releasing the game in its state, it now got bad exposure. It still got exposure,
Which will affect it, yeah.
Yeah. They should have waited, because I think there is a solid, way higher than 4 or 5 game there. But yeah, the package isn't complete, essentially. And all I can really hope for is expansion of content. I want to see more skills. I want to see the pets, the capes, an expansion of endgame, possibly an expansion of story, obviously, another chapter or whatever, and then maybe even a chapter after that goes past the end game and unlocks maybe a new end game. Like, there's a lot of ways they can go with this. I think it does have a bright future, but because of the problems, I have to give it a B-. I do think it's a fun game, but I get frustrated as much with it as I do enjoy it. So
you were running into way more bugs than I was. You were bitching a lot, rightfully, but I was listening to him like, God, why is he getting all the fucking bugs?
Yeah, it was bad.
I can look past a lot of them, but you were just getting inundated with them, and I was like, and it was almost like ruining my experience, because I'm like, it sucks playing with somebody who's having this hard of a time playing it. Now it's affecting me. And
I couldn't play, so pretty much. Like,
Which just sucks, because like the last time we played, I was having fun, but then the problems would happen. I'm like, I just want to enjoy that fun we were having. Right. Like, it sucks that there's these things that are happening that are stopping that. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, I think it's a completely valid. I mean, it is absolutely valid.
Yeah, and I do think there is potential for the game to be that a quality game, and even with the right improvements, I could even dare say an A+ in there, but it's not there.
No.
So, but yeah, B-. I think is completely fair, especially for how buggy it is. By all rights, I should be giving it a lower grade, but it is fun. So
yeah, I feel like I should be giving it a B something, but like, I feel like just logically I should be doing that, but just when I think about how much I enjoy the game, I can't think of a lot of games right now that I'm enjoying this much. So that has to mean something for me personally. Obviously, that's not something that has a metric. That's just for me personally.
Sure.
Anyone who knows me, it's hard for me to just get into a game and stay with it. I've been playing it pretty consistently throughout the month. Like I said, I have 100 hours into it, pretty much, maybe 80. I don't know, 80 or 100, somewhere around there. But it's quite a bit. And so last time I put that much hours into a game was like Dragon Quest, which I think I put 140, 150 hours into.
That's Persona 5 for me. I still haven't beaten that fucking game.
No one has. No one's beaten that game.
Well, they better hurry up, because Royal or whatever the fuck they're calling it is coming.
Royale with cheese.
So.
Looking cool, Joker.
Even bigger game.
Yeah. Make the big game bigger. Good plan. So we got a B minus, B plus, and A minus, all high grades, and we all pretty much acknowledge the same factors. There's a good game underneath the obvious big problems that the game has, and we're all way more
And balance.
for sure. B is for balance and bugs, but yeah, overall, there's definitely a diamond in the rough there. The future, we will see how they handle it. They could really make this into something that everyone can agree on being fantastic, or the game that could have been. So let us know in the comments, what did you think of Wolcen? Have you played it? Have you not played it? Are you interested in playing it? Are you not interested in playing it? If you have been playing it, what are your thoughts on it? There's people in the community who have talked to me and said they're like in the level 70, 75 area. So some people have been playing quite a bit. In that experience of playing it, have the bugs been super awful to you, or have you been able to look past them? What are your overall thoughts on the game, and how much do you think that really comes into your opinion on the game when it comes to how well you enjoy it? I could completely understand somebody going like, I don't really like it, it's got too many bugs, and I'd be like, yeah, I get it. It just comes down to how much you really accept them and can look past it. And if you can't, I wouldn't judge you on that. So but yeah, let us know everything you think about when it comes to Wolcen in the comments. But that's going to do it for this episode of Game of the Month. Remember, we are playing Jurassic World Evolution this month. So make sure to play that as well. But yeah, that's going to do it. As always, thank you for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy this episode. Make sure to check out our other episodes. Check us out on Tumblr, Twitter, Facebook, and TikTok. We need to make a Facebook. Link down below. We got Discord link down below as well. We're on iTunes, Spotify, and other podcast platforms if you prefer to listen to us. We just got over 1,700 subscribers, guys. That is awesome. 300 away from 2,000 subscribers. That's insane. Thank you, everybody who subscribed. Thank you for all the new subscribers. Everyone who came from Reddit. I will reply to every single one of you, I promise. There's a lot of you guys who are talking in there. I got to get through that. There's still comments on other videos I gotta fucking reply to too. The community's getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and I got more people to talk to, and I love it. So thank you. I just want to say thank you. And yeah, my name's Seth.
I'm Chevy.
And I'm Chris.
Until next episode, which should be Tasty Tuesday, I'm also gonna be doing a impressions video for another buggy ass game, Predator hunting grounds trial. And yeah, until then, have a good night, guys, and take it easy.